Liberation. My surroundings changed in an instant. Darkness, I couldn't see a thing. But I could feel something like a piece of clothing covering me. Startled, I swept it away. This is my room. I could tell instantly. How many transfers does this make? There always seemed to occur whenever something important was going on, as if their timing had been chosen deliberately. Took the wristwatch from my pocket and checked the time. 10:48, huh? Mustering that, I returned the watch. What was Cocoro doing until just now? In bed with a blanket over her head. Does that mean she was sleeping? I turned to the desk and grabbed the notepad lying there. Weren't any new messages. I thought of something and went outside, the pathway stretching all the way to the front gate. As I walked, I looked up at the moon for confirmation. Waning gibbous. Its shape resembled an open mouth, making it almost seem like it was laughing hysterically. I remember in the opening, there was a silhouette of a person, and they made a smile that resembled that. So wow, okay. I stood before the gate, trying to figure out how to open it. I noticed the small control panels to the left. It appeared to be a computerized card reader that controlled the lock. The deep slot in the side made me realize immediately what it was. Card reader. Wheels in my head were turning. Ah, damn it. Were turning a little more quickly than today. Is it because of the chilly moonlight? They say that the moon has a great effect on the working of human mind after all. At any rate, as soon as the image of the card reader appeared in my mind, a solution immediately followed. I plunged my hand into my pocket and pulled it out. It was the ID card I'd found in my room yesterday. Maybe it'll open if I use this. With great anticipation, I slid the card through the reader. Ooh. Ooh. It was literally anticlimactic how easily it had opened. I removed my card from the terminal and left through the gate. A faint sense of liberation. Oh, I knew it. Oh, I knew it. They're on the same area. But one of the areas is meant to resemble the cliff. It's a fake. It's an... Oh, what do you call it? It's a... artificial island. That's it. It's an artificial island. Oh my god. I have a feeling they're going to add a cryo status to this. So, my theory so far is... I don't know about uni. Uni is something I can't explain. I don't know why there's two unis, but I do believe that the two areas, the shelter cabin and... what was it called again? Sphere? Spheres? I forgot. But I do believe Sphere, whatever, Sphere, I do believe Sphere is in the same area as the shelter cabin. It's just the shelter cabin is meant to resemble the mountains. Now, whether that means that the east is exactly the same area as where the avalanche happens, and that at 6:53 the artificial island is made to make an avalanche by force, because it's computerized, I don't know. But I do believe that people from 2011 were put into cryostatus and brought here to reenact this out for some reason. I don't know why, though. But it also makes me wonder, the three people who died, Kuroko, Yamagi, and Meizuri, people only believe they died because they found decomposed bodies. So maybe those bodies were fake, and the real people were actually taken and put into cryostatus. Now, uni, I don't know. I really don't know. But I do have a theory about that as well. I think the real uni was left behind, or maybe he escaped, but then he was found again. No, that wouldn't make any sense. I think, no, he must have been cryostated as well, because he thinks it's still 2011. So in case anyone's wondering, the point that I think they were put into cryostatus is right after the crash. I think they were found right after the crash, put into cryostatus, fake bodies were put where an avalanche was, and stuff like that. That's why Uni doesn't know what happened after the crash. But I do think the time at Sphere, like Uni's time at Sphere, I think his time at Sphere continues, and then at some point he gets sent back. But I don't know why. I just can't figure it out. but I do think that the uni at the shelter cabin is the same uni at Sphere. It's just an earlier version, a later version. It's smarter, and he's doing stuff for some reason. Now, that could mean that Uni's a good person. It could mean that Uni's actually there because he's trying to go against what everyone's trying to make them do. But, I don't know. That's just a theory, and I feel like I'm wrong, but it's better to come up with theories than be in darkness for me. I like coming up with theories. A faint sense of liberation. However, that was all. I'm finally free. I didn't feel the impulse to yell anything. Come to think of it, the idea of developing a plan to free myself from Sphere somehow never occurred to me. Even though I've thought I want to free myself from the transference phenomenon on many occasions. Between that, the shelter cabin, the killer chasing me, I've had my hands more than full with these three things alone. I hadn't been able to open the main gates before anyway. The reality of actually being able to leave Sphere didn't bring me any great joy. Now then, it went without saying that this was the coast. There it was, just a minute's walk from the main gate. The beautiful white sand of the shoreline stretched out from east to west. Sphere was on an Aosage island, so there was nothing strange about the ocean being here. But before my eyes were gently rolling waves, the jet-black deep depth of the ocean. The soft moonlight kissing the waves with its glossy brilliance and the starry sky that felt as though it would fall at any moment. Far off in the distance, the point where the horizon divided sea and sky. The bow of the coastline, white caps that broke against the shore, and the faint ripple of the waves like a lullaby. It was a perfect copy. This is the same landscape I'd seen at Mount Cocoro. I found myself unable to speak. Some frightening reality was steadily approaching. Only the ominous premonition remained coiling in my chest like a whirlpool. I returned to my room and lay face up on the bed, the moon and the ocean. I had no idea what was happening. It was like some black magic had been cast upon me. Everything about this was so totally irrational, I couldn't help feeling like I'd been cursed. If I wanted to escape from this curse, I should just gather my resolve, forget about everything and make my escape from Sphere. The ID card was still in my pocket after all. If I wanted to, I could go forth with this plan at any time. However, it's because I could go forth with it at any time that I return to Sphere. It's irritating, but I can't run away from here yet. If I did, what would happen to Cocoro, to Lin, to Yomogi? If I left them now, they'd be caught up in the avalanche and die on January 17th. I couldn't abandon them. There's no way I would do something like that. And then there was the matter of the murderer pursuing me. And I still had plenty of questions about the transference phenomenon. It was impossible for me to just forget all about these mysteries after all. Just the way I am. Till everything's been resolved, I still come here, come what may. I'd never be satisfied if I don't. It'd be fine for me to make my escape after all. After that. Oh. Oh? Sorry, I didn't get to read that last bit. Because the possibility remained open to me as long as I had my ID card. Ooh, is the ID card going to get taken away from him? As I lay brooding over it, a transfer occurred. My Cocoro's body was in bed. It was, so to speak, sitting like a girl. Stretched out my legs and jumped off the bed. Present time, 12:01 a.m. The date had already changed. I could see Uni and Lin up on the bunk beds. It sounded like they were asleep. I could hear them breathing, but I couldn't see Yomogi anywhere. I took a look down in the storeroom, but there was nobody there. Where did the old man go? I tried opening the door. Yomogi was standing outside, standing with his... Oh yeah, the last thing that happened, I think, was Kuroko talking to Yomogi about his son. Standing with his back to me, he was gazing up at the moon. Even though he should have heard the sound of the door opening, he didn't turn around. But then again, when we were talking to Yomogi, it was daylight, so... I don't know. Even though he should have heard the sound of the door opening, he didn't turn around. I hesitated. Should I tell him the truth or not? That sea is likely still there even now, surrounding this little hill where the shelter cabin stands. If you climb up and then descend the slope, you can reach the coast. Should I tell him? No, now's not the right time. That's what I thought. Even if the four of us escape from here, it won't solve anything. Even if the four of us escape from here, it won't solve anything. Right now, Cocoro's consciousness is in my body, and at the same time, my consciousness is in Cocoro's. What would happen if I left Mount Cocoro in the state? It's quite plausible that we get stuck like this, unable to even return to normal. And even if we could, that wouldn't necessarily mean the end of this transference phenomenon. I'm not really sure, but I have a hunch that it's going to continue forever. I'm repeating myself now, but but we can escape at any time. If I rush things, I run the risk of causing irreplaceable damage, and that would cause big trouble. Oh, by the way, I said cryostatus, but the other possibility could be we're not real, and that this is all some kind of thing made by other people, and the reason we can jump from each person's body is actually because we're copies of of the real versions of ourselves. So like maybe the real Satoru who was climbing the clock tower, the reason we can't remember what he was doing is because we're not him, really. Maybe the real Satoru actually died. And maybe the real Cocoro actually died, and they've actually made a copy of Cocoro and important people that became the survivors. And they're doing things. Maybe. That's another version. That's another theory I've got. But I haven't fixated on anything because there haven't been enough proof. There haven't been enough proof of what's going on. So I just kept quiet. I decided not to tell Yumogi about it. Right now, my top priority is to clarify the cause of the transference phenomenon. Now is not the time to be taking risks. As I stood there thinking, Yumogi suddenly spoke up. Tomorrow's Junichi's birthday. Junichi is our son. Bathed in moonlight, he looked somewhat small and lonely. Smoke climbed into the air from the cigarette between his lips. Oh yeah, he was talking about Junichi then. The long sigh that issued from those lips came out. How old will he be? I stood beside him and asked, gazing up at the waning, gibberish moon with him. No, he'll never celebrate a birthday again. He was killed by a girl named Inabushi Kaiko on January 14th, 2 years ago. Tomorrow's the anniversary of my son's death. The day he was given life and the day it was taken away from him. I couldn't say anything. Couldn't find the words. On any other occasion, I'd been surprised to hear the name Inabushi Kaiko. For some reason my mind had gone completely silent. All the agitation and confusion deserted me. As though they'd all died away, a calm stillness reigned. But deep in my chest, a bitingly cold pain ate me. But you know, Junichi gave us new life. In my wife's womb, another life is growing. You may think it's foolish, but to us that life became our hope. Till then we were lost in the darkness. But with the baby we finally found a new light. Of course we haven't forgotten Junichi. Every day. No, to tell you the truth, I think about him every day and night, without rest. If only I could just once, I'd want to hold him in my arms. But you know, we thought that maybe this new life was given to us by Junichi, so we accepted with open arms. She's due in August. I wanted to go visit his grave to thank him. But at this rate, I don't think I'll make it in time. How the hell did it turn out this way? So is, Itsumi... Over Yumogi dying, did Itsumi break down and that's how her baby died? Because she looks pregnant, but it doesn't look like she had the baby. And I'm guessing losing the baby as well made her break down a lot. I'm guessing? And that's why she's trying to treat everyone nice, and that's why she's accepting things easily, because she's trying to... She's just broken. She's literally just trying to live her life, I'm guessing. Like, in a mentally breakdown way. But I'm guessing she also has a split personality, maybe? Like, I feel like someone who's gone through that much stress, lost her husband, lost her kid, lost the kid that was meant to be born. I feel like that would break her down pretty much. So, she seems nice, but if that's happened to her, then she probably has a very bad side. The ash from his cigarette dripped into the snow like tears. With a faraway look in his eyes, he gazed at the orb in the sky. That's actually pretty sad, I must admit. The 4th day. January 14th. Junichi's birthday. Nucleotide. 3:30 AM. I'm sitting in the corner of the living area. I'm doing this in order to ambush a certain someone the moment she leaves the room. My intuition is correct, she'll definitely come. Last night, after listening to Yumogi's story, I'd burrowed into my bed at the shelter cabin and fallen deep into thought. Completely unaware of what was happening around me, I'd suddenly found myself back at Sphere. I came into my own bed, my eyes closed. From the position of my bed, I could tell that Cocoro's consciousness had already gone to sleep, but I didn't feel the least bit tired. A flurry of sparks were going off inside my mind. Instead of counting sheep, I was absent-mindedly thinking over everything that happened over the last few days. When I say thinking, I didn't mean my usual meandering. I believed that all of our problems were interconnected like the mesh of a net, and had built up upon each other into a complex, multi-layered structure. If I think about one problem, I have to consider another related problem as well, and when I start thinking about that, yet another one comes to mind. Like that, my thought process continues on and on without end. If I could grasp the thread and reel it in somehow, I feel like all the pieces would fall into place right away. But at present, nothing made me feel like I was getting any closer to finding it. I could only continue to grope my way through the fog of endless questions spreading out around me. If I strive to see it as a whole, I lose sight of any details, and if I try to narrow my field of vision and study a particular point, I lose my perspective at the essential of the whole thing. This is a dilemma, but I also couldn't continue to flounder this way. I have to keep going forward, without worrying about failure, forward, ever forward, and in order to do that, I have to make up my mind and start cutting this chain apart at links. If I can't disentangle this snarl of yarn, then I have no choice but to snip it apart into manageable bundles. For convenience's sake, I'd name the big proposition that incorporated every aspect of the problem R. Following that, I sorted the contents of R into three main parts. Personality transfer, my goals are both Aosage Island and Mount Cocoro, and Itsumi and Notori. Below I'll list everything I've figured out until now. Personality transfer. First off, the phenomenon began on January 11th around 8 or 9 PM. Ever since then, each transfer around Aosage Island and Mount Akakura occurred irregularly following no apparent schedule. On the other hand, I did discover a regularity on the transfers from Mount Akakura to Sage Island. The time of my transfers on January 12th, 1:07 PM transfer to Shelter Cabin, 1:40 PM return to Sphere, and 6:03 to whatever return to Sphere. 7:33 transfer to Shelter Cabin, 8:06 PM return to Sphere. The times of my transfers on January 13th is still 33 minutes in between each other, 33 minutes. As the above list indicates, the period of time my consciousness can spend at Mount Kuro is limited to 33 minutes. Oh, whoops. It seems clear that these 33-minute periods of time allow for no fluctuation and are more or less the absolute rule. Of course, I say this from my own standpoint, but for Kokoro's consciousness, it's exactly the opposite. The period of time Kokoro's consciousness can stay on Aosage Island is set at 33 minutes, but there's no rule governing her time at Mount Kokoro. In this manner, we transfer back and forth between our bodies. While I'm in her body, she's mine. When I'm in my original body, she's in hers. Something like that anyway. The next step is to come with a strategy for bringing this phenomenon to a conclusion. I wish to end these annoying and puzzling personalities transfers as quickly as possible, and Kokoro probably feels the same. It's only natural. Kokoro and I each just want to lead a normal life. We want to fall in love, work, play, build a family, and eventually become grandparents just as much as anyone else. We long for that kind of normal life. I have no intention of being endlessly jerked around by some personality transfer. What's more, these transfers aren't occurring in parallel, at the same point on the time axis, but across a 1-year time gap. In other words, a time jump and a personality transfer occur together. A real honestly, seriously maddeningly, accursedly annoying situation. If I can speak plainly, what I'd really love to do is to wash my hands off it completely, and run away to some tropical island. But even if I escape to Cydonia on the planet Mars, there's still no guarantee that the transfers would stop. And that's why I have to find a way to solve it all, here and now. Because it could very well be that the one fated to die in the avalanche on January 17th, 2011 might not be Kokoro but me. But even if, for the argument's sake, it were Kokoro's consciousness, I'm not sure what would happen to my body after that. Perhaps the transfers continue even after one of us dies. And if that's the case, the next time I transfer, that would mean I'm buried forever under the snow. Just the thought of it makes my hair stand on end. I've got to do everything I can to keep that from happening. Our time limit is drawing even nearer. By January 17th, 3 days from now, I'd have to figure out this phenomenon and put an end to these transfers. No matter what it takes. That's what it means. That's my mission. But to find the solution, I first had to ascertain its cause. And to tell you the truth, I haven't the slightest idea how I'm going to do that. However, I do have plenty of information. Some part of it might even hold the very clue I need. The moon. Why did I see the same phase of the moon both in Mount Akakura and Aosage Island? The phase that I observed last night in both places corresponds to this night in 2012. The ocean. Once I climbed out of the bowl-like hollow, why did I see the ocean? And it wasn't as though I saw it in the distance either. It was right there, right under our noses. Moreover, if I open the gate at Sphere and Sage Island, there's an ocean waiting for me too. What does it mean? The existence of Uni. Up until now I was convinced of this, that the Uni who existed in the body at Mount Cocoro was the same one who, at the end of a long struggle, had finally reached the shelter cabin after surviving the crash. And the Uni at Aosagi Island was the one who'd been found by the rescue team on January 17, 2011, and I think that's meant to be say came to Sphere 1 year later. I don't know. After that, they experienced the same transference phenomenon as Cocoro and I, but only swapped bodies once. That's the reason behind these various discrepancies in the memories and other problems, so I imagined. But that doesn't seem to be the case. To begin with, for two Unis to have transferred only once, while Cocoro and I have transferred back and forth many times, is unnatural no matter how you think about it. There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. No, it's still nothing but a hypothesis. I shall have to reinvestigate this once I've gathered more proof. The things I have to accomplish at both Aosagi Island and Mount Akakura, I've just taken it upon myself to make figuring out the transfer phenomenon, putting an end to it, my goal. But to be honest, they sort of take a back seat to my other two goals. In other words, beyond just figuring out the transfer phenomenon, I have two other duties that I consider to be important. First is finding out who's trying to kill me at Aosagi Island. Of course, since my investigation would be meaningless if I lost my life, in the process it goes without saying that my goal here is to keep giving whoever it is the slip and staying alive. Who is it that pushed me in the clock tower, tried to draw me in the bathtub, and stabbed me in the dark? Is it a Tori, Sami, or an unseen fifth person? Definitely can't be Uni, and I can't completely deny that possibility. How the hell did things turn out this way? How did I get stuck in this state of affairs with someone out to kill me? Anyway, it's a fact that somebody's after my life, and I've got to find out the truth as soon as possible. In order to swipe out the grave threat, it's urgent that I find the culprit and put a stop to their plans. My second objective compared to the first is sure to be more difficult. The enemy at Aosagi Island is human. You could say that at Antakura the enemies are nature, time and fate themselves. The forces of nature which no human can control. These are the opponents I must fight against. That's right, my second goal is to rescue the 4 survivors from Mount Cocoro. According to the history I know, 3 of those 4 are going to be caught up in an avalanche on the 17th and die. Moreover, one of those 3 is Mayuzumi Lin. The woman I went out with a long time ago. From the point of view, it's been a year and a half since our breakup. For her, it's only been 6 months. My romantic feelings for her have been faded, but even so, the pure affection I held towards her has never changed. Our relationship at 2 years ago, our 2 years forged a special connection between us. Even though we broke up, there's no way I can view her as just a stranger now. Mayuzumi Lin was an important person to me. And now, if you view them in the same terms of affection, my feelings for Cocoro equal my feelings for Lin. For those past few days, Cocoro and I have shared our bodies, were made to experience the same situations, and overcame many difficulties together. Cocoro and I are quite literally united by body and soul. Strictly speaking, there are 2 important points that join this way. The death of Fuyukawa Cocoro, directly or indirectly, and in every sense of the word, means the end of Yukidoh Satoru. And the death of Yukidoh Satoru is basically the opposite. Be they relatives or lovers, there can hardly be 2 separate individuals anywhere in the world with a relationship as intimate as ours. Yet we've never even met face to face. She's farther from and yet closer to me than anyone else. She's my fate and existence equal to my own life. Of course, that doesn't mean I don't care about Yomogi or Uni, although it's a little different than how it is with Cocoro, sorry. We 2 are comrades brought together by fate, make no mistake. Through all the times we've met, I've started to feel a sort of empathy and affinity with them. However, now that we've already made so many memories together, my desire to save them rivaled that which I felt for Cocoro and Lin. That's why I have to save the 4 refugees in Mount Akakura Lin, Cocoro, Yomogi, and Uni at any cost. I won't allow them to die on January 17th as a history dictates. I'll change history. Definitely, absolutely. I'm the only one in the world who can do that. Yomogi, Lin, and Cocoro are people of the past, so I guess they won't believe the story in the newspaper so easily. To a certain extent, some of them take an optimistic view of their fate, even with all they know. But I don't. I can't possibly think that way, because I'm from the future. According to the rescue team, Uni was the only survivor. That's what's really going to happen among the refugees at the shelter cabin, only I know it. And maybe Uni too, I wonder, does he know? I don't know for sure, but in either case, I can't count on his help now. So that means that I'm the only one who can change this past. The only one who can rewrite history is me, a man from the future. In conclusion, I had to find the culprit at Aosagi Island, save the 4 people at Mount Cocoro, and simultaneously solve the matter of the transference phenomenon. A really honestly, seriously maddening, and cursedly annoying state of affairs. This alone is complex enough to fry every synapse in my brain. But on top of that, there's only one more thing I have to think about. Tsumi and Hattori. Yomirugi told me last night that the son Junichi was killed at Aozumi Municipal Hospital, January 14, 2009. To Yomirugi, that was 2 years ago, and to Hatsumi 3 years ago, the life of Junichi, the 9 years old, was snatched away by the hand of Keiko. Her motives were unclear, but it said that it was a murderous fit brought on by her abnormal state of mind. And because of that, an innocent boy died senselessly. Can such a thing even be forgiven? Inuyasha Keiko, even now, is living a carefree everyday life here at Sphere. No, I'd better rephrase that. Even now, Suzukage Hattori is the one who committed the crimes at Aozumi Municipal Hospital. Was probably this Suzukage Hattori personality. I still haven't spoken to the Inuyasha Keiko personality, unless she's lying. But I understood. Hattori had behaved in certain ways in order to play with my emotions, and she didn't hesitate. To kill the rat with a single blow. After seeing such eccentric behavior, abnormality, and even cruelty from her, the conjecture that Hattori was the true murderer turned to conviction. I think that within Inuyasha Keiko, the personality that holds authority over the others is Hattori. The fact that Hattori is the only one I've been able to talk to so far is because she's been the one controlling Inuyasha Keiko body the whole time. That's where you're wrong. Not the whole time, but that's because I think she's been changing personalities when we change personalities. And on that day, she took the lives of 12 people. Without any particular reason, just because of an impulse during her fit, she crossed those people like insects. I felt that Suzukage Hattori would have no problem committing that inhumane act as casually. Just thinking about that incident is enough to make me feel a heavy sorrow in my heart. When I think about how it was just a way for her to express the emotions expressed inside her, just for that, innocent lives were lost. A heart-rending, almost unbearable misery sunk through my chest. Even I, a person who is in no way involved with that incident, feel like this. How deep a hatred must a parent who lost their own child feel towards that killer? What would I do if my child was so senselessly murdered? If one day, without warning, someone irreplaceable was simply stolen from me, if my peaceful life was smashed into pieces, I would definitely kill her. I'd kill her. Same way she killed my child. No way. No, I'd be even more cruel. Could Hatsumi have come to Sphere for that purpose? She came here for revenge. I don't know how she managed to get into Sphere, but anyway, for the injured party and the assailant to have converged in the same place can't be a coincidence, right? Today, January 14th, is Junichi's birthday, as well as the anniversary of his death. There's no doubt that Itsami's going to try something. I'd felt an intense uneasiness once I realized that. That's why I'm here right now, waiting for Itsami to come out of her room. It's past 4 AM now. The same time that Hattori crept into Aozumi Municipal Hospital. If Itsumi's out for revenge, she's not going to let this chance slip away. However, as I predicted, Itsumi came out of her room right now, what would I do? I still hadn't decided. Would I say stop this nonsense and restrain her? Or would I hide in the darkness and silently watch her break into Hattori's room? I don't really know myself while I am trying to ambush her, but no matter what, I couldn't just sit there in my room and do nothing. Outside, the darkness of the night still reigned supreme. Because of the season and altitude, the sun didn't rise here until after 7 AM. I wait for her, holding my breath, trying to conceal my presence and clear my mind. I focus entirely on listening. And here we go. Fitful. I heard the sound of a door opening. Okay, so before we continue, I just got a random idea, and compared to my other ideas, where it's like, oh, artificial world, oh, cryostatus, oh, this is all fake, and it's based on things that just happen because people are trying to do something, this one is a little more out there. So we've already... No, actually, no, we haven't. I would say we've already confirmed that there's some kind of time travel going, but there isn't, because I believe that these two things are going on at the same time. But what I think's going on is, I think Junichi and Uni are not twins, but they're both the sons of Itsami and Yogami. That's what I'm thinking. Now, keep on listening, because this is going to get crazy. What I think is going on is I think Kaiko killed the elementary school student, but the reason there was 12 other people dead is because she was trying to find that student, and she was killing anyone who got in her way. Now, why she wanted to kill him, I do not know. But I feel like she killed him for a reason. And I feel like Kaiko was brought here on purpose? Maybe? Maybe she's, I don't know. But I believe she... Because, okay, this is gonna get very confusing. Sorry. Basically, I think she's trying to kill Usami's baby. I feel like Usami's still pregnant, and I feel like Kaiko is trying to kill her baby. Because I feel like... Because in the Cocoro chapter, where you have to navigate your way around the outside of the building, and if you take the wrong path, you end up dying. The way you die is a little strange. You get stabbed in the waist, and then you get stabbed in the back. Why? Why the waist? Why the waist? That's what I'm wondering right now. Because a bit to the back would be done, dead, don't care anymore. But she took the time to do it twice. Now, obviously, you can say, but she did that to Satoru, not Utsami. Yes, I know that. But hear this. There is only 4 people in that area. If its killer is Kaiko, that means there's only 3 other people. And she assumes that Usami... I think Utsami's the one walking out of the door right now. And so she probably assumes Utsami is the one walking around. So if she hears someone walking around, she's obviously going to think it's Utsami, and she's going to go for that room. So she doesn't know who it is. She's attacking out of instinct. Since we don't get to see the aftermath, we don't know if Kaiko goes, oh shit, I've killed Satoru. We don't know. So what I think's going on is I think Kaiko was trying to kill Utsami's baby. Junichi was first, and now Utsami's pregnant again, and she's trying to kill the baby. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that Uni is Utsami's baby, and that when he's born, he gets sent back in time somehow. And that's why he's 11-year-old right now. 11-year-old right now. The reason Utsami doesn't know this, obviously she hasn't had the baby yet, which means she hasn't named it, she hasn't had to look at it, yada yada yada. But, very far-fetched. Time travel might not even be a part of it, but I have a feeling Kaiko is trying to kill Utsami's baby for some reason. Whether her baby is actually Uni or not, I do not know. It's just a theory, and I'm keeping to it because fuck this game, I am addicted to it. It's actually getting me thinking, and I love it. I heard the sound of a door opening. Just as I expected, Itsumi appeared. Yeah, she's the one walking around, alright. Almost gliding through the darkness, she headed towards the kitchen. Doing my best to hide my presence from her, I followed. Itsumi leaned down in front of the sink. She appeared to be searching for something in the cupboard below it. What are you doing here? I said quietly. Startled, she jumped. What are you... Well, nothing, really. I was just a little thirsty, so I thought I'd get a drink of water. She slowly stood back up. The door of the cupboard was hanging open. There shouldn't be any cups or boiled water down there, though. Her lips betrayed my no movement. Silently walked over to the opposite corner of the kitchen, took a glass from the cupboard. So what are you doing here? She asked, her back to me. I couldn't see her expression, but there was a very slightest tremor in her voice. I was thirsty too. I was actually thirsty too. By the way, do I have any quick loads I was meant to go back to? Yeah. Oh no, that one's the one I just did. No, there hasn't been any choices lately. I answered. I see, what a coincidence for both of us to get up so early for the same thing. When she turned around, she had 2 glasses in her hands. Won't you have a seat? And as urged, I pulled out a chair. She made her way over to the fridge and opened the door. She took out a bottle of mineral water from inside. Come to think of it, something had occurred to me. Each of us had a personal fridge in our rooms, and they all had mineral water in them. There was no need for her to drag herself all the way to the kitchen just for a drink of water. She was obviously lying. But I'd known that the moment I saw her looking in the cupboard. You wanted a drink, right? She put the 2 glasses down on the table and poured water into each. Here. She placed one of the glasses in front of me. I told her I was thirsty too, so there was no way for me to refuse. I drank it all in one gulp. Gulp, 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 gulp. I returned the empty glass to the tabletop. She watched me with upturned eyes as I drank. Her face was veiled in shadow, so I couldn't see her into her eyes. She raised the glass to her lips, yet made no move to drink from it. She stood there frozen. Beyond the darkness that separated us, I could barely hear the faint sound of her breathing. Standing there wordlessly in the dark, she resembled nothing so much as a wraith that had wandered free from its earthly body. I couldn't feel the slightest warmth from her. What's wrong? I held my breath as I asked her. She moved the glass away from her lips. Without saying a word, she turned her hand and tipped it. The liquid inside made a splashing sound as it hit the floor. It can't be. Propelled into action by sudden anxiety, I frantically patted my own body, in order to see if anything was wrong. How pitiful, she suddenly spoke, and she looked down, watching my floundering, immobile, powerless human is so pitiful. What are you trying to say? In the end, you couldn't do a thing, could you? Panic rang out in my head like an alarm bell. Tips of my fingers began to tap out an unconscious rhythm on the table. Convulsions. I clenched my hands tightly to stop the spasms. I won't let anyone interfere with my plan. No one can stop me. I told you before, right? I don't remember hearing anything like that. But now wasn't the time to question her. I needed to throw the water right now. Spring out of my chair. Or at least I wanted to, but... Wow. Body had adhered to the floor. My extremities were completely numb and were out of control. And it wasn't just my fingertips either. My lips, tongue, and even my eyelids wouldn't move. My head was heavy, like a stone clod had been driven into it. I had a sudden sense that I experienced this feeling before. However, I couldn't recall when or where. Don't worry, I'm not planning to kill you. Her voice sounded far away. Little by little, it drifted even further. Trying to grab hold of the voice, I reached out with all my might. Goodbye, Yukidoh-kun. My consciousness was weakening, fading. Before long, I couldn't see anything. I floated to the bottom of quagmire where no light would ever reach, my consciousness completely swallowed. Oh boy. Awakening. That afternoon, I found the corpse of the slaughtered Hattori. What? What? No! Oh, no way! God damn, her ribs have been torn out. Wait, what? Oh no, I just read that. Her ribs had been torn out right through her flesh and her heart neatly gorged out. Beside her lay the corpse of Itsumi. She'd slit her wrist, taking her own life. In the palm of her hand, she grasped a heart so crushed that all semblance of its original form had been lost. It was Hattori's heart, and with one finger of her other hand, she'd written something on the floor within blood. Just a single line. Where is self? Ooh. Oh my god. You see, I had a theory a while ago, and I didn't really think of much of it. I think I said it. I don't really know if I said it, but... basically, the only reason we think Kaiko is Hattori, is because there's a picture of her in the article. But other than that, there's no proof that that's Kaiko. What if Kaiko is Itsumi? What if... yeah. Now, I don't know why Satoru thinks that's Kaiko. But... what if Itsumi is the person who murdered everyone? Oh no! Yeah, what if Itsumi is the person who murdered everyone? Hattori might be the one with split personalities, she might be Kaiko. But there's nothing to prove that Kaiko is the split personality one. The only reason we believe that is because she was standing outside the hospital and she was found with the dead bodies, I think. But there is no proof that she's the one who murdered them. What if Itsumi did that? Itsumi. And also, I think Itsumi was at the hospital as well, wasn't she? Yomagi said that she had been there for her son. And that she was there. So that's even more reason to believe that she was the one who did it. Where is Self? That's just fucked up. Uni sat in that sea of blood, muttering to himself like a madman. I have no idea what happened after that. I think several more transfers occurred, but that didn't matter anymore. At the mercy of something greater than I, my lost soul just wandered aimlessly through an empty world. And what happened to the 4 people at the shelter cabin after that? In the newspaper dated July 4th, the headline 3 decomposed male and female corpses found on Mount Cocoro had disappeared. Instead, it said that the bodies were discovered on January 17th along with those of the other passengers. So they didn't come back alive. That means that the 3 of them died on January 11th. What? I wonder if I've just been dreaming this whole time. Nightmare without end. Now I'm in a white room. A pure white room without a single stain on its walls. In one wall there's a small window with bars across it. Outside I can see cherry blossoms as they flutter down and dance in the wind. An old man is walking down the road. Slowly, slowly he totters by. From the other directions comes a boy walking a dog. He shouts cheerfully as he runs, bathed in the sunlight filtering through the trees. I don't want to think anymore. Just gazing through the window at the world enclosed by this little square is enough for me. The cherry blossoms, the old man, the dog, the boy. I surrender myself to the passage of time, the contents to be spectator. Without emotions nor self, with only this single viewpoint observing the transient world. Viewpoint. A point. With neither volume nor mass. I was a hollow existence. Suddenly I heard a voice from the other side of the door. Anamata-san, Anamata-nayo-san, it's time for your medicine. What the hell? What the hell? The story is not finished yet. Truth is not revealed. Circulates through an incident. What the hell? What the fuck? What? Who's Anamata? Or something. Anamata Naoi or something. What? Oh my god, that's hurting my head. Now I'm thinking, what if this is some kind of psycho's dream? And he's trying to change the bars. I don't know anymore. I'm just going to go on with the game.